It's not a wrong path if you feel blocked not to push, because procrastination could be split energy, and usually that's a good way of describing it. But it also could be a habit of action that isn't going to get me to where I want to go. And the more I think I'm going to do this thing that isn't a good vibrational match to where I'm going, then the more uncomfortable I feel. And that's what the feeling of procrastination really is. It's split energy. And a lot of people would say, just push through it. But what we would do instead is just take a beat. Don't try to make it happen through action. Acknowledge that you feel stuck, and then ask yourself, I feel stuck. What's on the other end of that stick? What's on the other end of the stuck stick? What's on the other end of it? Flow, openness, clarity. So stuck feels like confusion, feels like tired, feels like overwhelmment. What's on the other end of that? What emotions are on the other end of that? Energy, enthusiasm, eagerness. But here's the one we really want you to hear. Interest. Interest. This is such an important conversation because you can only perceive through perspective of self. And there's something important for you to understand about the power, the value, the importance of self-interest. Now think about it. We've been describing your inner being in your vortex, where everything you've asked for is, where the vibrational essence, the seeds of it, the roots of it are. So when we talk about self-interest, we're talking about core, we're talking about source. The cooperative components are being gathered, and when you let yourself go to others who want you to go over there or over there or over there, they might call it selfish, and we would too, self-interests. So it's really good for you to follow your self-interests, and it's also really good for you to allow others to do the same. Because if you will be selfish enough to move in the direction of what's in your vortex and what's calling you, and you accomplish that alignment, that feeling of satisfaction by going that way, you win, and also others who are following their self-interest, they win. In other words, the only way win-win can happen is if you do a win. A lot of people, they're so opposed to self-interest that they don't let themselves win by aligning with their power and their passion and their current and their desires. So you can't have a win-win without a win. Self-interest is an important thing, because think about what interest is. Interest, well, that's interesting. It's being called in the direction of something that you want. We'll take it further. Satisfaction comes from only one place, moving in the direction of what's in your vortex. And so, good basis for this discussion. We wanted to guide you just a little bit because there's a little bit of discomfort about following self-interest. Because humans teach you that you should be more giving. And we say you can't give what you don't got. If you're not selfish enough to align with this current and align with this momentum and align with this clarity and align with this abundance, you don't have anything to give anyone anyway. So it's an important thing to align with who you are. And do you know, in the same way that there's a win-win, there's a lose-lose. There's confusion about this because there's a lot of people who really want everybody to just do what they need them to do. Don't leave me. Don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. But sometimes you don't find yourself until somebody leaves. Listen to what you're practicing. Listen to what you're packing your bag of marbles with. I'm a doer. I'm an inspired being. You know how this works. Say those words. Don't tell us what is or what's been. Don't try to defend. There's nobody asking you to defend anything. Doing is way fun. You came to see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. You came into this environment where you can be a manifested action devourer of delicious life. Action is really wonderful when it's inspired. It's really hard work when you're pushing against stuff. Action that follows interest, way fun. Think about when you wake up, it's not even daylight and you're going to go fishing. Feel it if you like to go fishing. Now, wake up before the sun comes up to go do something that you've been dreading doing for a long, long time. Feel that. Feel that. In other words, get the energy and follow the flow, yeah? Hook up to the energy, hook up to the clarity, hook up to the path of least resistance. Path of least resistance doesn't sit well with a lot of people because you've been trained not to procrastinate, even though it just means you've got a tug of war going on. You've been trained not to please yourself, that you should serve others. You've been trained to do all kinds of things that are not vibrationally accurate to the laws of the universe. When you feel that way, it doesn't feel good. What's that telling you? Your inner being's not encouraging you to push through. That's like saying, and it is just exactly like this. I said I would vacuum this living room today, and I will. I've been putting it off for a long time, and today's the day I'm going to do it. So here I go. I'm not going to plug the vacuum cleaner in, but I am going to take the action. I'm going over every bit of this room. I'm going to get every bit of it. And we say, plug the vacuum in before you take the action. And so when you decide that you're going to go with the flow, for a long time, because there's so many humans who feel this way, we told a story almost every seminar where it's like you take your canoe and you go down to the river's edge and you point your canoe against the current. And then you paddle very, very diligently, very practiced, very determined, pulling against that current that's actually going because it's being called by source and your inner being. It's going to everything you want, but you won't let yourself do that because that's lazy. That's the path of least resistance. I'm going to prove my worthiness by doing it the way that others who have monuments in their name have done it. I'm going to struggle and sacrifice, and I'm going to do it the way that will make me be revered by others who have done it their way. And we say, we'd like to suggest that you just let your canoe turn and that you just go with the flow. Oh, that feels kind of good, but it feels lazy. It feels lazy. And we say, where do you get this stuff? Have you ever seen a sufferer? Have you ever seen it turn out good? Have you ever seen a complainer? Does their life just get better and better and better? Oh, you go, girl. You just keep complaining about everything. I can see how that's working out for you. Everybody loves a complainer. Just keep complaining. Keep pointing out how everything is unfair. Pronounce that injustice. Speak it, speak it, speak it, speak it. And we say, pay attention, connect the dots. Pay attention to how you're feeling and what's happening and how you're feeling and what's happening and how you're feeling and what's happening. Sometimes a feeling of procrastination is every cell of your body would like a little bit of a rest. Sometimes a feeling of procrastination is you're paddling against what you really want, and your inner being is never helping you paddle against something that you want. So you're really on your own. It's like, talk about out there on the bleeding edge. You're not allowing the momentum and the current of source to call you in the direction. We would redefine for ourselves, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would give a new definition to procrastination. We'd say procrastination is the way I feel when I want something, but I'm turned in opposition to it, but I'm determined to go anyway. It's like there's nothing in myself that's helping me. Esther's sister has a really cute daughter that said to her mother one day, I just don't have any ready to start. I don't have any ready to start. And her wise mother didn't say, well, start anyway. You don't have any ready to start. You don't have the vacuum plugged in. Don't waste your time. Don't spin your wheels. That's what makes people tired and negative and defeated. They're working against themselves and things aren't working out. And you can't tell when you look at other people. You really can't tell. You can read attitude and you can read body language, but you don't know for sure who's tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Because you don't know what they want. You don't know what their bag of marbles is. You don't know what's been going on with them. Don't try to figure it out from others. Just line up and feel it. Show yourself the difference between what it feels like when you're in alignment and what it feels like when you're not. And then notice the results of when you push through anyway. The pushing through anyway only gives you relief in this sense. When you stop hitting yourself over the head with the hammer, it does feel a little better. But there's way more relief downstream for you. You tend to identify yourself through what you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. But your inner being is consciousness, and you are the see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it part. That's why when you make the decision, so your source energy, and then part of that consciousness comes into your body, splat. But the larger part of you remains non-physically focused, and that's what we call your inner being. The collective of that is what most people refer to as God, or whatever label they give to that all that isness. So as you're here in this physical body, your intent, what you meant to do, was to come, have some clarifying moments that made you important, perusing, sifting, sorting, deciding person that you are, made you define things that you want, knowing that that leading edge asking would cause the whole of you to go to a new place. And then your plan was to use the way you feel to know whether you're in alignment with the new place that you've gone or not. The better you feel, the more playful you are. Usually the younger you are, the more you're called by that. The beasts of your planet, oh, they're experts at that. What's the difference between your beasts? That's a term of endearment, by the way. They're not trying to think their way through everything. They feel their way. Humans call that instinct. We call it path of least resistance. That flock of birds up there, not banging into each other, everybody knows right where to be. Who's the leader? Not any of them. They all have inner beings. The inner beings offering the idea of the path of least resistance. And usually, there are exceptions of course, but usually they're in sync with it. And you are too, you want to be too. And there are no boundaries to this field, so it includes what you call physical and what we're calling non-physical. So when your inner being brings its bag of marbles to the vibrational field, what it holds for you is appreciation that we can't even find a big enough word for. And love, the words are so inadequate. And understanding and appreciation and expectation. And so that's what your inner being is. But your inner being can't evoke from you something that you're not offering. Your inner being is always calling as much of you into alignment, into calibration, as you in any moment in time are able to allow. You get to resist or allow because you have the free will to do it. You get to have step one moments. You get to be in moments where you know what you don't want because it's an advantage to you and to all that is. And so your inner being is never standing around saying, not ready yet, in any kind of attitude of impatience. Your inner being is always just knowing what you want and knowing that you can come, and always offering ideas about what the path of least resistance could be for you. And sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't.